Alright, welcome to what was basically the last major IP developed by the old THQ before they went bankrupt.
Oh, we're going historical, I see. Yeah, I'll admit I
In
have...
more than one ways.
I didn't think
Has
this...
anyone here see something like, for example, Red Dawn, a documentary about something like documentaries or movies about North Korea?
I may have heard of it, but I don't think I've seen it, no.
It's basically about how the culture of North Korea is all hell bent about hating the United States, and this is a what if scenario where North Korea invades the United States, and you have to fight as the rebel.
I'm starting to see a running theme with your game picks as of late. Basically,
No,
alternate
not really.
war
This one,
timelines.
this one I got it only because I was interested by Angry Joe's review back in the day,
Oh
and
my-
I found it like for $4. So I was like, "Fuck this, why not?"
Oh god, that must have been one of his older reviews.
Yeah.
That said, though, I see that this game has literal tank controls.
Kinda, sorta. You will be able to see more in action, but yeah, this allows me to mention a couple of things. You notice, yes, there are subtitles as well, but the way that this game properly starts is kind of hilarious in all the wrong ways, and you will immediately be able to understand what I mean as soon as it starts. But as it progresses, it's more of a run-of-the-mill kind of like of war stories. It's weird because we actually got the writer of Red Dawn to write the story of the campaign of this. But it's the single player kind of feels a bit tacked on because reportedly people said that the multiplayer was really good. So it really feels as if the studio only made the multiplayer and then tacked on the single player, kind of like in an attempt of chasing, the Call of Duty trend.
I was about to ask, is this like your typical...
And we start with Hillary Clinton.
Wow.
So, yeah, basically typical thing, use some real-life footage to then funnel... Yo, my god, this is a lot like Singularity, except just replace
This was made in 2010, I think, by the
so
way.
this came before Singularity, then?
I'm guessing they're trying to do a Metal Gear thing.
Kinda. They are very quickly summing up the event that because of a radical chain of events that happened, that manages to put on their knees, some superpowers like United States, Russia and stuff. North Korea, out of fucking nowhere, you remember Kim Jong-un dies and Kim Jong-il goes to power. Yeah, and he becomes obsessed with nuclear power, which allows him to essentially start taking over the world and invade the United States.
It's weird.
I wasn't aware that we were playing some kind of South Park game, because that sounds like a South Park plot.
Okay.
The best thing about it is that there was, I forgot which video specific, but I think it was 2017 at least, where we were actually this close to actually this scenario in a kind of way.
Oh god.
Oh god.
Anyway, it's...
We were kind of close with Kim Jong-un dying, Kim Jong-il becoming the new leader, and becoming very ruthless, despite being incompetent about it. So people were fearing this game was gonna become prophetic. Thankfully, so far we have managed to not reach that scenario.
Oh god, 2022!
Yeah. If I recall correctly, this game starts around 2022 in universe.
Wow!
Wow, Asian bird flu.
Guys, I swear this was done in 2010.
Holy cow! Oh.
2024.
Again, it's funny you mentioned South Park, Pedro. Anyone else remember that weird period in time where there was suddenly about where everyone was afraid to so much as mention anything Korea-related in media out of fear that Korea would...
It was because of the leak of Sony's database, which included the movie The Interview.
Oh boy, The Interview. Look, I get The Interview was a bad movie, but the drama surrounding it was even more insane.
But yeah, North Korea invades the Hawaii, then San Francisco. Again, as Angry Joe pointed out, this is kind of ludicrous on a pure practical level, because no matter how powerful you are and everything, North Korea is still a small nation. Even conscripting forcefully, inhabitants from the region they conquer, like South Korea and Japan, they really do not have a little number of people enough to actually take over the United States.
But
that's where
this
we
is
are.
apparently that dark timeline where they did take over the United States. Wow, that must have been one heck of a stealth attack for them to have taken on what is pretty much the #1 superpower in the world.
So yeah, our protagonist, if I recall correctly, is like a pilot or something. Yeah, it's set in 2027. There you go, we're practically Robert Jacobs.
I gotta tell you guys, things were getting pretty crazy
Wait.
here in 2022 regarding
Wait,
that.
Wait, Edward Jacobs?
Robert Jacobs.
Oh, Robert Jacobs, okay.
It would have been funny if he was called Edward Jacobs, now wouldn't it?
Remember, Joe, that was Bella's original idea for her daughter's name.
Really?
If it was a boy. Her idea was, if it's a boy, I'll call him Edward Jacob, EJ. and the sad part is that that's not even her worst idea because we went with Renesmee.
Alright. I know what you're thinking. Oh, cool. We're actually building up a particular villain, this Colonel Young from, the North Korean faction. He rarely shows up after this bit.
Again, I'll admit, I know it's a coincidence that we're playing this after Singularity, but it really bears a lot of similarities to Singularity.
This doesn't involve time travel, however.
Although it does have, like, basically alternate timeline where communist country essentially is a lot more powerful than they were before.
Colonel Young is actually voiced by Hon Lee, which I think is of Central Asian descent. I think. At the very least, they try to get something closer.
So what was the overall reception this game got?
Moderate, but not enough from what the OTHQ was actually hoping. I can elaborate more during the gameplay, because now we're about to have... This initial sequence is entirely basically scripted. It's about to showcase the horror that North Korea did to the rural United States.
So I'm confused. Have they taken over completely, or is this just a subsection that they have? Because if they're in control,
at the very least, the vast majority.
Right, I was gonna say, because like if they're in complete control, surely they use something that's not rudimentary, like an old school bus for transporting prisoners. No duh.
Oh shit.
It's bad.
My dude, haven't you been living in this terrible world for some time now? Like,
It has been kind of a, lightning kind of thing. It happened in the span of just a couple of years.
I see. I guess it's just weird. The way he's responding with those words, that implies this is like the first time he's ever experienced this. But if it's been this way for years, maybe they could have done more. Granted,
It seems that they're actually gathering specifically pirates for this particular bust. Oh. Fun fact, that splotch of blood, it's the same gun that was used for the slaughtering grounds.
huh.
Oh fuck, not the child too. Yeah, let's just move on.
Did you hear the Voice of Freedom's broadcast last night? He says this shit's happening all over the state. Every time the resistance gains some ground, the KPA comes down on the rest of us.
What kind of accent is he going for there?
I don't know. Is not really important.
American.
For the labor camps. Never gonna see most of those people again.
Keep your hands empty and visible at all times.
Re-education, eh?
Oh, we even have droning turrets.
Right.
What's next? A Metal Gear?
To be fair, they're setting it up in 2027, so they have an excuse to have it slightly more technological.
We're only 5 years away from this.
Surprisingly enough, they did not manage to call out, proper drones. Again, this was only 2011, actually, I found the exact year.
Masquerades. That's what I've heard. Look, when we get to wherever they're taking us, we gotta stick together. Okay?
Sure.
We gotta watch each other's backs.
Oh shit!
Or that can happen.
Well, he's killed everyone except you.
Let me
Alright,
guess.
these are gonna be our companions for the majority of the game.
Then we've got Colonel Beard and
Token
Officer Tech
lady.
person.
Shame they killed the black guy who was with us.
Dies first.
Yep.
And of course, his
Connor
name
here.
Connor.
Yeah. Connor is voiced by Tom Pelfrey.
Seriously, what is it about protagonists named Connor in FPS games? Like,
I
Maybe
don't know.
maybe people really like John Connor, but they make Connor the
He's,
first name to make it
oh,
different.
White Castle. That's some interesting product placement.
Yeah. While Rihanna instead here is voiced by Hannah Cabell.
Yeah, this is the honestly the product placement in this game is about as weird as that Doctor Who movie where they advertise sugar puffs in the middle of a post-apocalyptic world.
Alright, Tom Pelfrey, I think it's mostly just a TV actor. He really did not do much in terms of video games. This was slightly after the beginning of his career, so there is that. But I cannot recognize really that much. Oh no, it was Ward in the Iron Fist series. Oh,
Oh,
fuck.
Aye.
wow. So let me get this
well-
straight. He got into the MCU on quite possibly one of the worst things that's come out of the MCU. Although, to be
Anyway.
fair, Iron Fist may or may not be getting a third season, apparently.
Who knows? Anyway, Anna Cabell instead is also a TV actress, but she hasn't done much. This was actually almost at the beginning of his career. Okay, to be fair, she was like an extra in one of the expansions of GTA 4, The Ballad of Gay Tony. But she has been mostly sticking to TV, basically, even to this very day.
So do we have like any heavy-hitting voice actors in this game overall?
No, not really. I get the idea I wanted to have. Well, we'll come across to them as they go on when it comes to the characters.
Necessarily,
I guess I'm kind of
Sorry?
surprised. Yes, Troops?
I was gonna say not that games necessarily need heavy hitting voice actors.
And I can tell you the ones that they have here do a very decent job. I don't really have a complaint with the voice acting.
Oh, mind you, I'm not taking it as a sign that it's bad, but I always find it weird when a game doesn't even have the usuals in, like, even a background capacity or whatnot. Because, like, normal, in a typical game, you've got your Troy Bakers, your Steve Blums, your Jennifer Hales.
You can
and
kind of
whatnot.
tell the old THQ was trying to actually, put some kind of solid foundation and thus trying to make, something stand out rather than being, very ordinary.
And you know what?
I guess it's that.
And you know what? God bless them for that. That said, I do pity them if they expected this to be the breakout title that was going to save
They
them
were
from having to
expecting it.
close.
The problem is that the reason why it failed was not really this one. It was because of their oversized, tablet. They were trying to sell, but it was way too overpriced. Barely anyone bought it. Okay. Barely anyone bought it, and that actually was led to their bankruptcy and they're selling over IPs, which does remind me.
In spite of Jason Rubin's best efforts.
It is
Yeah.
interesting. Oh my god, I still can't believe Jason Rubin went from Crash to THQ, but regardless though, it is interesting comparing the THQ of old business practices to the THQ of news business
They're really two
practices.
different companies. The old one was, I think, even an American company more than anything. Let me see.
The problem with the old THQ
Yeah,
was
America.
like, well, in a lot of ways, they're doing what the new THQ do, except the problem was they were selling everything at full price, which, yeah, for obvious reasons, that didn't pan out well.
There was also the thing, again, just mismanagement of the resources. Again, if it wasn't for the tablet fiasco, they probably would have still been fine in some kind of way. Around this time, they were building up the Darksiders IP, and that one was actually going very strong, and they still had a couple of aces up their sleeve, like Destroy All Humans, for example. So they were not really in a position of panic. It's just that they literally beat much more than they could chew with the drawing tablet, and that was their doom, basically.
Oh god, I still forget that they were the ones behind the drawing tablet. It's weird though. Of all the things to sink a company, it's weird when a gaming peripheral is the thing that does it, ironically.
I don't even know what they were hoping, to like how much they were hoping for it to sell because it looked so unpractical in the first place. It's like for the hypothetical level, if Activision banked everything they had on that Tony Hawk game that uses the peripheral skateboard.
Yeah.
What, Ride? Was it?
Ride, yeah.
Shred did that as well.
Oh, yeah. And honestly, people debate which is worse between Ride and Shred. Both of them are lacking, to say the least. Regardless, though, yeah, the drawing tablet was a weird venture of THQ.
This initial mission also serves to establish kind of the personalities. Connor is gonna be your despite being the team leader, he's very hot-headed and takes risk, while Rihanna instead tries to be more safe, calculative, and because of that, they kind of, going clash.
So I'm curious, was Connor always the leader, or is this about how he becomes the leader of the Resistance?
No, he's been. Basically, your protagonist gets entangled into this rebel movement that has already kind of a story of its own.
Let me guess. Old leader dies, we become new leader, have to prove ourselves to people who don't trust us at first.
You will see.
Okay.
Oh shit. Yeah, we don't really have a chance against that being for the time being.
So, in a sense, I guess this is kind of like a home on the range situation where, yeah, this game ain't nothing to write home about, but it's not directly the reason that the company went under, despite being their last thing.
Again, you still being sold for $60 with no real updates in mind, It really felt that it was too overpriced, honestly, for what they were trying to accomplish. Again, it was still the time where all games were sold by $60 at launch, no matter their quality, anyway.
Again, it really is hilarious how THQ and THQ Nordic are like night and day with their business practices.
That reminds me. Again, this is because Koch Media, which is the partner company that includes a subsidiary that now owns this IP, Deep Silver, instead is mostly based around North Central Europe in terms of countries, and their mission has been basically scavenge all these dead IPs from companies that were like defunct or did not anymore use it, and try to repropose it for the modern audience or making new titles if necessary be.
And I'll give them credit.
Some do it better, some do it decently, others not so much, and Deep Silver is one of them. Don't worry about this. I initially wanted to actually collect these newspapers because they give a bit of flavor, but I gave up very quickly because all you need to know about this is that, by the way, yes, this is a blind playthrough, by the way.
And you're playing this on Steam, I see.
No, it's my PS3 driver.
Oh, weird. It's weird because
the Steam achievement instead goes on the bottom left instead.
It's even on Steam.
Yes, I don't. I think it's still listed properly, but I don't know if the servers are still up. Anyway, where I was going is. So basically ignore the newspaper. Deep Silver, unfortunately, has a bit of a history of not treating what they own very decently. Which, again, to an extent, there was Mighty Number 9 back when it was developed. Remember, they were the one responsible for the trailer with the anime fan of Prom Night. And unfortunately, now they own the IP, which means that they pulled basically a Mirror's Edge instead of making a direct sequel, because despite everything, this story ends on a cliffhanger. Instead of making a sequel, they tried to make a reboot called Homefront Revolution, and it was boring at best.
Wow, I'll admit, I didn't even... Okay, look, I had heard about the original Homefront, never got around to playing it.
It came and went.
But that's the thing,
honestly,
I didn't even hear...
Daddy stays dead.
Like, don't get me wrong, like, this game itself was pretty niche, like, I barely heard about it, never really got around to playing it to the point where literally this playthrough is what even jogged my memory about it.
Mind you,
but Homefront Revolution, nope, I never heard of it.
Despite not being the biggest thing ever, apparently in around a year from its around 2 years from its release, it sold 1.2 million copies, which for what they wanted to do is still relatively a beat.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, have you played the Revolution?
Not yet. I'll probably find it eventually on sale and give it a try for the sake of continuing.
Let me guess. It was one of those cases where it probably took too long to reach that 1.2 million overall.
Not really. Okay, we know that they still don't really have a plan to make another game on this. but it might not really necessarily be attached to the sales much. Maybe just the studios. The studio that did it was Dumbbuster Studios, which then did a game that I don't know about, it's called Chorus, and nowadays they're the one who have inherited Dead Island 2, which is another Deep Silver own IP.
Deep Silver are a weird company. Like, it's hard for me to get a proper peg on them morality-wise. Like, I wouldn't say that they're outright scummy, but they do a lot of iffy moves here and there. It's really weird on how to gauge them overall. Like, I'd say that they're the company that don't set out to do bad. It's just that they kind of fall into that a lot. Case in point, that god-awful trailer for Mighty Number 9. Good intentions or not, that trailer only hurt the game.
And mind you, because of a trade-off that they did internally, between them and THQ Nordic, now Deep Silver are the ones who are owning Time Splitters. As we talked about with Ace, now the original development team behind Time Splitters has reached Koch Media in trying to guess a partnership for a new title releasing the old ones. So I don't even know what's gonna happen in that case.
Yeah, again, like, on the one hand, Deep Silver can help us get good games. On the other hand, Deep Silver sometimes do a lot of those dumb things, like just sitting on IPs, not really doing much with them, terribly advertising games, and in some cases, kind of overpricing some of their games. Thankfully, not all of them, and they seem to have overall gotten better with how they price games, but no.
They also what's the term? Gain a bit of extra cash on the side by publishing in the West sometimes some Sega titles, like Valkyria Revolution, for example.
Basically, if you catch Deep Silver on a good day, they will more often do good by you. You catch them on a bad day, get ready for a rough ride, and
yeah, I mean, there are a couple of IPs that I'm really familiar with from the old THQ days. I'm not sure who belongs to what.
You can tell me. I generally know. So Red Faction now is Deep Silver because that was also part of the trade-off.
Right, Red Faction. Isn't the new Time Splitters game?
Yes, I just said that
yeah,
when it came to.
Chicken shits, the EMP must have fried their balls, too. You'd think seeing a plane fall out of the sky would have put guns in there.
Very snarky, Connor.
Maybe they're not ready to fight. The KPA doesn't bother these people. They're just trying to live their lives. Besides, Boone gave you an order.
Okay.
So yeah, at the very least, because when we did our commentary originally of what was Free Radicals' game, the death of the Haze, we made that commentary under the impression that was it.
To be fair, I did mention at the end that there was already news about the maker of Time Splitter trying to reach Koch Media in some kind of fashion.
Yeah,
Back when the IP was owned by THQ Nordic before actually the exchange.
Yeah.
All right, it's time to meet the rebels.
Seems I misheard you. I thought you had said that there was a new Time Splitters, but nah.
Well, there is, but it's only just been formed, and the developers have only just come back together in Nottingham.
I see.
Goddamn resistance! What are you doing here? We're a peaceful community. There are families here, man. You can't be bringing us this kind of trouble.
Alright, the leader of resistance is called Boone. Let me check who is played by.
Oh wait, Sorry.
Jim R. Coleman. What's the name? Connor is the leader of our team that he included, but the leader as a whole of everything is this guy called Boone.
Oh, he's
Played
played
by
by...
Jim R. Coleman. Oh, it was an extra in the first Ant-Man movie. He has been voicing this stuff like video games, also like Red Dead Redemption 2.
So the leader is a black guy. And let's see, the first
But he's
black
also mostly a TV actor.
Let's see, the first black guy died, and given how this is, you know, the leader of the resistance,
Shit.
I'm sure he won't also die, so that we have to eventually take command.
Yeah, these also showcase how the North Korean are so brutal in repressing, almost like they know exactly where people are. Again, it takes a lot of suspension of disbelief, fortunately.
Pedro?
To quote not another teen movie, you know, Malcolm, you are a clever, insightful, and very charming individual, and you deserve more respect than what you get. Basically,
I'm gonna have to mute the video now.
Remember the joke was that Malcolm was a token black guy that got in, so basically the movie was taking a jab at that trope, basically.
I guess... Okay, so...
Yes,
Good luck pacifying a baby in the middle of a bloody fight.
I guess story-wise, it's an interesting opening. There's a lot of shooty bang-bangness, but they did do their best to try and set up, you know, the tone for it. I do wonder if maybe things are starting off a little too rampant for the player to really get a grasp of...
The campaign is very short to Jova, so yeah, you can see we're gonna go a bit faster.
Okay, look, I don't want to immediately pass judgment and say that it's bad. In fact, I don't feel it's bad. It feels rushed in a sense, though. I can't put my finger on it, though. Or maybe I can. Like, seriously, we are literally dropped right into the action. Like, maybe there'll be a time for us to settle down and get a better grasp on things.
It's also more of a case of, this entire backstory of these particular, instances. Yeah, so sorry about jump cut. This entire particular universe's backstory is told to us very quickly and potentially a bit schizophrenically, and then you're just thrown in.
I kind of had a similar problem with how Singularity doesn't really show us much of how the world has changed, but at least I'll give Singularity that we at least did get a nice and relatively calm build up to when, time travel eventually occurred and crap hit the fan.
Here it's just basically, North Korea are evil and, everything is hell.
Again, I have to stress out, Red Dawn is a great movie, but the fact that this is the same writer is baffling me.
Everything is hell. Everything is cool when you're with the Lord of Darkness.
Shit.
Everything is hell when you're living your dreams.
Shit.
Like,
alright, here's a cool, an actual new cool thing. Okay. What we're supposed to do now is to pick up this remote control, which allows us to pilot this car drone, the Goliath.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
And there you go, we just
Oh
we
my
don't
God.
really control it directly, we essentially just point it to a proper direction and it shoots properly there.
Okay, was I the only one who noticed that they literally had the line repeated upon itself? Take out those vehicles! Take out those vehicles!
There are a lot of repetitive one-liners, unfortunately.
Again, I don't want to be too hard on this game, because, we've literally just started. I guess something about this game feels a little... Oh. I guess something...
Also,
maybe it's like you said. The campaign kind of feels like a bit of a second afterthought. Something about this game feels a little on the cheap side. And granted, I do know the devs were THQ, but again, they charged full price for this game, right?
The dev team was called Chaos Studio, which did only one game before this called Frontlines Fuel of War, which was alright.
Again, I wouldn't say it's bad. Something about this game just feels a little bit on the cheap side. And mind you, a game does not have to be high budget to be amazing. It's just that what matters is how you use your budget. This kind of feels just a bit run-of-the-mill overall. And again, we're just at the start. Maybe it'll get better.
Again, it has, as a premise, it is technically different, but you realize quickly how you can swap these to a Call of Duty title. It will kind of feel the same.
Again, now maybe they'll do something interesting with how the world is different under North Korea rule, but why do I get the feeling it's mainly just gonna be shoot, shoot, bang, bang, war is hell, things are terrible and whatnot, save the day.
Shit!
Oh.
And each chapter now ends with a sort of a recollection from a radio host.
Okay.
Yesterday afternoon, KPA authorities raided the town
Voice of Freedom.
Yeah, it's the broadcast of resistance.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's voiced by Graham Clark.
Why we fight?
Just to suffer. Actually, no, he's voiced by Tim Palmerson. An actor from the 40s, actually.
Huh. Really? He sounds not that old, I'll admit.
He has been voicing a couple of video games, even like Saints Row the Third. But he's mostly obviously been in movies and TV series.
Well, that was an interesting start. I guess we'll see where things take us in the next part.
Yep. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.